Think you're smart? Well, hold on a second, because the answer to that question is way more complicated than you might think. For most of human history, we've measured intelligence with a single number, the IQ score, as if the human mind could be reduced to one simple test. But what if I told you that there are actually multiple types of intelligence, and you might be a genius in ways you never even realized? Today, we're going to break down every major type of intelligence that scientists have identified. And by the end of this video, you might just discover that you're smarter than you ever gave yourself credit for. The idea that intelligence comes in different flavors really took off in 1983 when a psychologist named Howard Gardner published his theory of multiple intelligences. Gardner argued that the traditional view of intelligence was way too narrow, and that humans possess at least 8 distinct types of intelligence, with a possible ninth one that's still being debated. These aren't just different skills or talents, they're fundamentally different ways that our brains process information and interact with the world. So let's dive into each one and see where you might excel. First up, we have linguistic intelligence, or what some people call being word smart. This is the ability to understand, use, and manipulate language with a high degree of skill. If you're someone who has always loved reading, writing, or telling stories, you probably have strong linguistic intelligence. People with this type of intelligence have large vocabularies and seem to pick up new words effortlessly. They're the ones who can explain complicated concepts in ways that anyone can understand, and they often think in words rather than pictures. You know that friend who always knows exactly what to say in any situation? That's linguistic intelligence at work. They're also the people who appreciate puns, love word games, and can pick up foreign languages like it's nothing. Think about William Shakespeare, who literally invented new words and used language to express the deepest human emotions in ways that still resonate over 400 years later. Or Winston Churchill, whose speeches during World War II rallied an entire nation through some of the darkest days in history. And in more recent times, J.K. Rowling created an entire fictional universe with its own linguistic rules that captivated millions of readers worldwide. From a scientific perspective, linguistic intelligence is strongly linked to specific areas of the brain, particularly Broca's area, which handles speech production, and Wernicke's area, which deals with language comprehension. Both of these are typically located in the left hemisphere of the brain for most people. Next, we have logical mathematical intelligence, or being number smart. This is the capacity to analyze problems logically, perform mathematical operations, and investigate issues scientifically. If you excel at math, love chess, enjoy computer programming, or find yourself naturally good at strategy-based activities, you've got strong logical mathematical intelligence. People with this type of intelligence don't just crunch numbers, they recognize abstract patterns, use deductive and inductive reasoning, and can follow incredibly long chains of thought without losing track. They approach problems in a systematic, step-by-step manner and can spot flaws in arguments that others miss completely. They're comfortable with abstract ideas and symbols, and they constantly seek rational explanations for why things happen. Think about Albert Einstein, who used abstract thought experiments and complex mathematics to completely revolutionize our understanding of space, time, and gravity. Or Alan Turing, who used logical deduction to crack the Enigma code during World War II and became one of the founding figures of computer science. This type of intelligence is primarily linked to the left parietal lobe, which handles mathematical calculations, and the prefrontal cortex, which manages working memory and logical problem solving. Moving on to spatial intelligence, or being picture smart. This is the ability to perceive the visual spatial world accurately and to perform transformations on what you see in your mind accurately. If you have an excellent sense of direction, can read maps easily, or enjoy drawing, painting, and sculpting, you're probably high in spatial intelligence. People with this type of intelligence think in images and pictures. They can visualize objects from different angles in their minds, even objects that don't exist yet. They're the ones who can assemble puzzles or furniture without breaking a sweat, and they notice details in the physical world that everyone else walks right past. They might spend a lot of time daydreaming or visualizing outcomes before they happen. Consider Frank Lloyd Wright, the legendary architect who could visualize incredibly complex buildings and understand how they would interact with their surrounding environment before a single brick was laid. Or think about master chess players who can visualize multiple moves ahead, seeing the board from different perspectives all in their minds. Spatial intelligence is strongly associated with the right hemisphere of the brain, which is heavily involved in processing visual and spatial information. Then we have bodily kinesthetic intelligence, or being body smart. This is the ability to use your whole body or parts of your body to solve problems or create products. It's about coordinating mental abilities with physical movements in ways that seem almost effortless. If you have excellent hand-eye coordination, learn best through physical activity and hands-on experience, or are skilled in sports, dance, acting, or crafts, you've got strong bodily kinesthetic intelligence. People with this type of intelligence have a powerful sense of timing and balance. They can express emotions and ideas through body language, and they often remember things through what's called muscle memory. They might be the type who has a hard time sitting still because their body wants to be in motion. Michael Jordan is a perfect example. He demonstrated unparalleled body control and spatial awareness on the basketball court, performing complex movements under intense pressure that seem to defy the laws of physics. Or think about a brain surgeon who needs incredibly fine motor skills and precision to perform delicate operations where a single wrong movement could change a life forever. This intelligence is controlled by the cerebellum and the motor cortex in the brain, which coordinate movement, balance, and fine motor skills. Musical intelligence, or being music smart, is next. This is the skill in performance, composition, and appreciation of musical patterns. It involves the ability to recognize and manipulate pitch, rhythm, timbre, and tone. If you're sensitive to sounds in your environment, can easily remember melodies and rhythms, or enjoy singing, humming, or playing instruments, you have strong musical intelligence. People with this type of intelligence can pick out different instruments in a complex piece of music, and often have a powerful emotional connection to what they hear. They might find themselves tapping rhythms or humming tunes without even realizing it. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart is the classic example. He was a child prodigy who could compose entire symphonies in his head before ever writing them down. Or Alan Hendrix, who revolutionized the electric guitar through improvisation and an intuitive understanding of sound and tone that couldn't be taught. Musical intelligence is primarily associated with the right temporal lobe of the brain, which is heavily involved in processing pitch and melody. Now we get into the social and personal intelligences. Interpersonal intelligence, or being people smart, is the capacity to understand the intentions, motivations, and desires of other people and to work effectively with them. This is all about reading people. If you're naturally empathetic and can sense how others are feeling, if you're skilled at communication, collaboration, and negotiation, or if you often find yourself taking on leadership roles in groups, you have strong interpersonal intelligence. These are the people who are good at resolving conflicts and mediating disputes. They genuinely enjoy social events and working in teams, and they seem to instinctively know what others need. Oprah Winfrey is a perfect example. She has this unique ability to connect with guests and audiences on a deep emotional level, making them feel truly seen and understood. Or think about skilled diplomats who navigate complex international relations by understanding the unspoken motivations and concerns of foreign leaders. This intelligence is linked to the frontal lobes and the limbic system, especially the amygdala, which processes emotions. Scientists also believe that mirror neurons play a key role in empathy and interpersonal understanding. On the flip side, we have intrapersonal intelligence, or being self-smart. This is the capacity to understand yourself, to have an effective working model of yourself, including your desires, fears, and capacities, and to use that information to regulate your own life effectively. If you're highly self-aware and introspective, if you understand your own strengths, weaknesses, and emotional triggers, or if you prefer working alone and enjoy journaling or self-reflection, you have strong intrapersonal intelligence. People with this intelligence have a powerful sense of personal values and goals. They're often highly motivated and self-disciplined because they understand what drives them at a fundamental level. Carl Jung, the famous psychoanalyst, dedicated his entire life to exploring the inner world of the human psyche, including his own. Or Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, whose personal writings in his book Meditations are a profound exercise in self-examination and self-improvement. This intelligence also involves the frontal lobes, which handle higher-order thinking and self-reflection, what scientists call metacognition. Gardner later added an eighth intelligence called naturalist intelligence, or being nature smart. This is expertise in recognizing and classifying the numerous species of flora and fauna in your environment. If you feel a strong connection to the natural world, enjoy hiking, camping, gardening, or caring for animals, or if you're good at identifying different plants, animals, or weather patterns, you have strong naturalist intelligence. People of this intelligence notice subtle changes in their environment and are fascinated by how ecosystems work. Charles Darwin is the ultimate example. His entire theory of evolution was built on meticulous observation and classification of species during his voyages around the world. Or Jane Goodall, who revolutionized primatology by immersing herself in the world of chimpanzees to understand their behavior in ways no one had before. This is believed to be one of the most evolutionarily ancient forms of intelligence, crucial for the survival of early humans who needed to know which plants were edible, which animals were dangerous, and how to read the signs of changing weather. It's linked to the parietal lobe's role in processing sensory information and classification. Now, you might have heard people talk about emotional intelligence, or EQ. While this wasn't one of Gardner's original types, it's become incredibly important in modern psychology thanks largely to Daniel Goleman's work. Emotional intelligence is really a synthesis of interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence. It's the ability to perceive, use, understand, manage, and handle emotions, both your own and others. Goleman broke emotional intelligence down into 5 key components. First is self-awareness, knowing your own emotions as they happen. Second is self-regulation, being able to control your emotional responses rather than being controlled by them. Third is motivation, using emotions to achieve your goals. Fourth is empathy, recognizing and understanding others' emotions. And fifth is social skills, managing relationships and influencing others in positive ways. Here's the interesting nuance. A person could be high in interpersonal intelligence, meaning they're great at reading people, but they might use that skill for manipulation if they're low in intrapersonal intelligence and lack self-awareness. Someone with high emotional intelligence has to have both. They understand themselves deeply and use that understanding to connect authentically with others. Finally, we come to what Gardner calls existential intelligence, or being life-smart. This is actually a candidate for his 9th intelligence and is still being debated. Existential intelligence is the sensitivity and capacity to tackle deep questions about human existence. Why are we here? What's the meaning of life? Why do we die? What happens after death? If you find yourself asking these big-picture questions, if you're drawn to philosophy, spirituality, or cosmology, or if you can think beyond the immediate everyday concerns of life to consider ultimate realities, you might have strong existential intelligence. This isn't necessarily about being religious, it's about grappling with the fundamental nature of existence. Socrates spent his entire life questioning the nature of virtue, justice, and the good life, famously declaring that the unexamined life is not worth living. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, developed an entire school of psychotherapy called logotherapy, based on the idea that the primary drive in human life is the search for meaning. This is the most abstract and debated of all the intelligences because it's incredibly difficult to measure empirically, but many people recognize it as a distinct way of thinking about the world. So here's what makes all of this so powerful. The traditional IQ test mainly measures linguistic and logical mathematical intelligence, with maybe a bit of spatial intelligence thrown in. But if you think about it, that leaves out so many ways that people can be brilliant. Someone who struggles with traditional academics might be a musical prodigy, an incredible athlete, a natural leader, or someone who understands themselves and others with remarkable depth. The point isn't that everyone is good at everything, it's that intelligence is not one-dimensional. You might be off the charts in 1 or 2 areas and average in others, and that's completely normal. Understanding your own intelligence profile can help you figure out how you learn best, what careers might suit you, and how to approach problems in ways that work with your natural strengths rather than against them. The really interesting thing is that these intelligences aren't fixed. While you might have natural inclinations towards certain types, you can develop and strengthen any of them with practice and effort. Your brain is remarkably plastic, meaning it can form new connections and pathways throughout your life. So if you've always thought of yourself as not being smart because you didn't do well in traditional school, maybe it's time to reconsider. Maybe you're incredibly intelligent in ways that the school system never bothered to measure or value. The next time someone asks if you're smart, you can confidently say yes, but the real question is, in which ways? Because intelligence isn't about being good at everything. It's about understanding your unique cognitive strengths and using them to navigate the world in your own way. And when you think about it like that, everyone has the potential to be a genius at something. You just have to figure out what your something is. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe for more content like this. And let me know in the comments which type of intelligence you think is your strongest. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.